why share my story, and why do I care so much about storytelling? And I really do think that this could be valuable, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or whether you're a startup founder looking to raise millions. I've helped both small businesses. I've also helped large tech startups raise multi-millions into the 8 figures through storytelling. And so I've been through the highs and lows of building up my own video marketing agency, Brand Story, as well as now just recently this year launching my podcast, the Story Driven Podcast. And we've grown the agency now to multiple 6 figures a year. My goal in sharing my story as well is to share some of the biggest lessons I've learned and continue showing up to share more of those lessons and how I've been able to accomplish and get to the place where I feel happy, and I feel successful. Even though, there's still much larger goals ahead of me, I feel like I'm doing meaningful work, and I wake up every morning and go to sleep every night feeling fulfilled. And I'm doing this in spite of, still to this day, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I still struggle with bouts of anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome. And not anymore, but at one point, burnout really bad, and insomnia. I've tried to make this video about probably over 5 different times. And it's ironic because I'm literally a storyteller for founders. I've been struggling to tell my own story. And I've done it in the past, but I think these last few years have been a roller coaster of emotion, and it's hard to talk about. See, like I'm already doubting this and wanting to start this video over again, but I really want to commit to just following through. I want to commit to showing up even imperfectly, because that's what I've done. That's what I've done since starting the business in 2018, late 2018. I never really saw myself. I never really thought that I'd be a small business owner, growing up in a lower middle class household in Burbank, with almost losing the house multiple times to foreclosures. Not that my dad didn't have a good job, but when my brother was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old, ever since I was 4, it was a journey, and there we had our struggles. The financial difficulty of just trying to do everything that they could to help my brother. My parents took so much. They flew us to so many different doctors and did everything they could for my brother, and at the same time still managed to give me such a normal life, quote unquote normal life, as much as they could. And I'm so grateful we still have our house, despite the fact that in late 2018 we almost lost it for the third time, and it was looking like that was going to be the end of it. And that was really when everything shifted for me. About 6 years ago now, I got a call that my parents, my brother had fallen through the front window of our house. He had gotten a cut on his side. The window had come down, and it was it could have been a fatal accident. Luckily, my uncle came by. All the time I was on a music video shoot, and I missed the calls that my parents called me trying to get me to help. And I felt so terrible. And I just remember getting on the call with my dad and him telling me, "Bub, I think we're going to have to sell the house." Because up until that time he had been having heart problems, and he just was trying to keep everything afloat. Meanwhile, my parents had always tried to give me my space to go out, and it came down to this moment where I realized, like, man, I need to step up. I need to do something here. What can be done? And so thankfully, storytelling. I had sharpened my skills as a storyteller, and I knew that if we just put their story out there and just captured the day in the life on video, that people would understand. And up until that point, my parents did not believe that the larger community truly understood. They had reached out for support, and they just hadn't gotten the support that they had hoped for. And what we did was we put out a mini documentary that shared their story. And 300 shares later, we raised over a year of living expenses so they could keep the house. And to this day, my parents are there with my brother. I just try to visit them as often as I can.
Merry Christmas.
It really opened my eyes to the powerful tool that visual storytelling could be to awaken others, to bring others into our story, to connect on a deeper level. And I started looking around at my community and realizing like there's so many small businesses that have their stories that just aren't being seen. And so I went out and I found a friend of mine has her father owned an auto shop in Burbank, the local community, and they were struggling. Their lot was pretty empty, even though when I went there to meet him, his name is Tino, and the shop's called Greg's Tune Up. And he had the most incredible why, the most incredible passion for doing integrity, honest-based work for their customers, and seeing all these other bigger auto shops out there that had gotten the online marketing going, but they were ripping people off. And so very quickly, that became my first client. Ended up building out a website, putting together a video for him. And when we put that video out, it took some time. It got the SEO starting to get going. They started to show up more on Google now because video really does boost SEO. And now they had a website, and now they're up there on the first page, whereas before they were not. So their lot started filling up, and now they're still going strong in business to this day. When I remember, they weren't sure if they were going to make it, and it's so funny because now I can barely get a same day appointment because they're always packed.
I appreciate it.
Business is good?
Business is good. Everything is good. Thanks to you, though. Thank you, my friend.
It's all you, man. You're awesome, man.
It really just comes down to they're the heroes. Like it was their story that I told. And it's just a matter of telling it. And that's where I like to step in more as like a guide, more as just a facilitator to help facilitate what they were already capable of, and what they already that the power in their story that they already had. And oftentimes I've found in the storytelling, it does take that outside perspective to really see the value in a story. Sometimes it's hard to see outside of yourself. One crucial part of my story, I'm actually re-recording this because I forgot to mention, there was a pivotal moment in the journey after working with Tino and Greg's Tune Up, when I had this crossroads, this fork in the road, where I had to decide to continue doing the music videos and sort of the old endeavors of trying to get into the film industry, become a music video director. And I actually got invited to produce an event in Vegas with Juice WRLD as one of the headliners of the event before his passing. And it was going to be this great payday. And then on the same weekend, I also got a referral from someone who I had done a free video for. His name is Chris Smith. He was one of my first business mentors, and he referred me to a group called the Greatness Collective, a nonprofit that was building homes in Mexico for families who didn't have homes. And that story spoke to me, and yet there was going to be no budget. And I also had rent coming up at the end of the month, and I was like very low in my bank account. I didn't have enough to cover rent. And I just remember thinking, do I want to follow the money, even though I'm not as passionate about the work over here? And I just went with my gut, and something told me that if I went and just told this story and helped this nonprofit that really needed their story to be seen, it would come back to me in other ways, and I wouldn't have to worry about money. And so I did that video for them. I turned it around as soon as possible, and the results, 10x, really just in terms of a lot of new community, a lot of new donors, a lot of new volunteers. And that ended up building the foundations of what became my network. To this day, I met John Block with Abundance Retreats, William Rout, who's going to be the next guest on the podcast. So I've met some really critical connections that I still am friends with to this day. And as well as Kyla, and she had an incredible story to share, was just launching her coaching business. And so that was the first time that I also had the feeling of like, okay, it's time to step up. It's time to charge what I feel I'm worth. At the time, I had never charged even over $1,000 for a video. And yet I took a stand for my work. I saw the results it could get. And I said during our sales meeting, that'll be $2,500. Is that doable? And it was definitely, it was a on the fence decision for her. And I just let her know, I think your story is incredible. I think if we tell it, that the launch of your coaching business, this is really going to help. And when we put out her video, within the next 48 hours, she had over $10,000 in sales.
The video definitely like sealed the deal because he watched it and bam, done and done.
But just within 48 hours of people seeing and her launching that brand story onto her social media. And so that was the path. And then the very next brand story I sold was for $6,000. And that was to a lawyer. And it just started to compound until I was eventually getting up towards $8,000 a video, $9,000, $10,000. And then now I've sold videos upwards of $30,000. So it doesn't all happen at once. And I'd say the lesson there was to just start, even before I was ready, even before, to just start helping and serving people and showing up. And getting those results helped build and foster that confidence in me to then start charging what I felt that the results were clearly worth. In 2020, I mean, we started to grow really fast. So back to growing the business, getting our first few clients, I just kept putting out the story. I would capture the stories of the clients we helped and their transformations. And then every story would like compound, and then a bigger client would see that and then say, we want that too. And by the end of 2019, just less than a year since I started, I was working with huge companies like Agora Financial, $2 billion info product company, who has Tony Robbins as their clients. This was a massive tectonic shift in my life up to that point. And I was not fully prepared. I was kind of thrown into a much bigger lake with much bigger fish. And I still hadn't learned how to set boundaries for myself. I had been following all these business coaches who were telling me to go, sacrifice everything, stay up all night if you have to for a client. And I got to the place where I forgot how to rest. And it became a slippery slope. And it ended up turning into, in early 2020, severe insomnia and all of the anxiety and depression that I had struggled with since high school came crashing back. I had repressed a lot. Just from growing up with struggles, with the struggles inside the household and outside, from dealing with, and look, I'm not here to say boo-hoo, like poor me. Like I had a good upbringing. My parents did the very best. They always made sure that I was taken care of, and they were, and I had friends. But my senior year of high school, I took a pill, an antibiotic that completely dissociated me. I experienced depersonalization and derealization and such severe anxiety and depression that I alienated myself from everyone in my life, and every friend that I had, even the closest ones in high school. My senior year, I ended up sitting alone most lunches. And at one point I thought my brain was completely broken. And I ended up realizing, I put the two and two together, that the antibiotic, from looking it up, I saw forums of people who were in inpatient facilities and they were in mental hospitals dealing with the fallout years later. And so even though I tossed the pills, it was a long uphill battle. I almost didn't go to college because of it. I remember my friend, Evan Friedman, I remember her just being there for me while I was crying, because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go to college. This is so bad. And I can't even, just showing up to school in the morning was like hell with how much my thoughts were screaming at me. Like my thoughts had become loud, or even just talking one-on-one with others was like insane to think of doing that. Just petrified from the amount of cortisol that was just pumping through my mind. I still went to college, and now moving all the way through to, going film school, graduating, putting out films that went and played internationally at festivals. But I always held that chip on my shoulder. I think, and it drove me. I really drove it. I pushed through, white knuckled through all that anxiety and depression, and put on a mask often, where I was cold and just kind of an asshole to others, and didn't really have many friends. And that was years of that. And I had repressed, built up this business. Now, all of a sudden, late 2019, I'm working with these huge clients, making $27K in a month in September of 2019. I still remember it was like my first 5-figure month. And I didn't even make 10. I made 27K. And it was a huge shift. And then I just started to slip. It almost was like mania, like just going nonstop without knowing how to rest. And so like one of the biggest lessons I've learned in this journey is the importance of fully resting and unplugging, not even thinking about whatever pressures, whatever struggles are going on in your life. For me, it was like just a massive amount of new clients, new business, new attention. And it just became analysis paralysis, decision fatigue. And I wasn't allowing myself to like recover. Like even professional athletes at the highest level, they take recovery very seriously. And so in 2020, I got to the point where I had 2 weeks of insomnia, and I got to the point where I wanted to end my life. And it was a place of desperation and of just having neglected my mental health, my well-being, and also just putting so much pressure, taking everything so seriously, trying to fix everything all the financial issues, just wanting to just put the whole world on my shoulders. And it was something that I had done to myself, and it was up to me to get out of it. And so through 2020, I mean, that was a year where the whole world shut down. I shut down. I gave up for like nearly all the way through up until late 2020. I gave up on even the dream of having a business. Everything shut down. I couldn't do video production anymore, and I wasn't even sad about it. I was like, you know what? I need a break. And I ended up getting into just exploring my passions again and taking that time to really, luckily there was the self-employment payment. And I just started to explore. I started to play video games again. I started streaming. And I remember I got into the crypto gaming space. And that was when I stumbled into a blue ocean of possibility. When I dove deeper into my passions, I discovered that not only did I have these skills that I had stacked with the filmmaking and with the brand storytelling and the marketing, but now there was this entire brand new industry that had no brand storytellers, no filmmaking experts in that community that also spoke the language of crypto gaming. And so suddenly I like the largest projects in that space wanted to work with me, and I had to be really careful because after everything I had been through, I had to decide, I had to make a commitment to myself and take a stand that I would never let work get in the way of my own mental health, of my family, and truly like my relationship with God, which I had up till that point neglected up till 2020. And when I got clear on and making that my North Star, on coming back home to the source, to love within myself, prioritizing that, right? Self-care, self-love, loving others, loving my family. I decided that comes first. I'm never going to let a business opportunity, no matter how much money is thrown at me, I'm never going to let go of that. And so with that new focus and that being my North Star, I moved forward and ended up doing some of the biggest successes in my career up to that point, helping Chill Chat Studios raise cumulatively over 10 million. But through the launch that I helped them with, 8.5 through crypto.com as their head of brand and marketing, and directing their content that ended up going to the investors that got pitched, as well as helping out on the pitch decks, directing the marketing content that went out across Twitter. That year, moving forward, it was a slow, I just wanted to say, you know what? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So moving forward from there, it was a process. I got to travel for the first time abroad to Europe, also for crypto gaming clients. And then when the crypto market crashed in 2023, I decided it was time to get back to Brand Story. And I relaunched the agency in mid-2023 and brought on our very first client since relaunching, Abundance Retreats. And this was actually, they were called Red Pill Experience Retreats at the time. And within 6 months of working together, we ended up going and helping them go from retreats that they were making around $35K to $37K on average per retreat. And after creating their content, but also it's not just about the content. It really we would get very clear on their story. Who's their target audience? We started to, after my experience as well in the crypto space and all those different experiences and stacking, it became very clear to me how to capture attention as a brand. A brand that shares a North Star with their community, rallies a community around a very clear, definitive message. So with Abundance Retreats case, abundance. I mean, just that shift to changing the story to making it about not a red pill or the Matrix, which was talking a bit more about the problem, but just by shifting the brand towards the solution, towards the dream, the vision, the goal, the energy completely shifted from one retreat to the next. They were able to take their what they were charging per retreat from $1,500 to $7,500, and they were able to take their back-end offers and more than double them. And it was March of this year, 2024, they had their first $300,000 plus retreat. So nearly a 10x.
We were kind of barely above break even, and now we are doing multiple six figures.
Yeah, we were charging $1,500 for our retreats before me and Evan. And after working with them, this is a direct stand from Evan. We charge $5,000 to $7,500. He really helped us see our own value and objectively stand for us to really be authentically us as leaders in the marketplace.
And so now I'm really excited because we got with this retreat space. There is health, there's holistic doctors involved. We started working with a lot of them. A lot of the community within the Abundance Retreat have now become our clients. And moving forward, we're talking with more retreats. I just got off a call today with a retreat founder who's also in San Diego, who has an avocado bliss retreat. So now we've become clear on our niche. I've become clear on wanting to help spread more healing. And so helping clients who are going and creating impacts and ripples of healing through transformative retreats, through holistic doctors and the treatments that they're providing their patients. We also have now 2 doctors, Dr. Henry and Dr. McHale, who are on our content retainer. We're helping Dr. Henry run ads. We're helping McHale with his personal brand content. And it's just, it's crazy to think about the journey, because in 2020, I never envisioned being back to this, to a place where I'm building. keep showing up. Just keep showing up imperfectly, because the only way I've been able to do all of this, despite the fact that daily there's the anxiety that comes up, there's the imposter syndrome that comes up, there's those feelings of, oh man, this is overwhelming, there's a lot of plates spinning now, but just coming back to having faith. We're gonna figure it out. We have time. I'm not alone. I have a team. I'm showing up to help clients, and I'm doing it from a place of knowing who I am and knowing where my priorities lie, knowing that my balance, my well-being, my health, my fitness, those things, I know that as long as I prioritize them, I can continue showing up and just doing the work, taking the ultimate shortcut. One of my very first mentors, Adam Urbanski, said, take the ultimate shortcut and do the work. And so it's been doing just that, doing the work, and then also knowing when it's time, when my productivity starts to nosedive. All right, time to fully rest, unplug, and stop thinking about work for a second, for a day, and even for a few hours, to just unwind, play some guitar. It's possible to build a life and business of your dreams. It's possible. It's within reach, and I see it for everyone I speak to. When I ask, what's your story? What are you passionate about? I see a thriving business in every person's story I meet. And I'd say my goal now with the podcast, I'm building a community that is more accessible, right? So our core offer, the brand story film, is now $10,000 plus. It's just, even despite the fact I've got a larger team, there's only so many we can do, and the demand is there where that's what we charge, and clients are happy to pay it because of the results. I mean, with Abundance Retreat, that 10x results that are seen. But I want to be able to help people who are anywhere along the journey, even aspiring entrepreneurs who aren't even clear on their story. I want to have an option that's available for them where I can just help them get clear on their story and help give them the tools to get started, learning how to do sales, learning how, basically taking my experience just across entrepreneurship and give them those tools so they can do it themselves at an affordable rate. And so I'm building a community called the Story Driven Creators. And right now it's a 20 plus person community of my closest entrepreneurial friends and acquaintances who were committed to growing and putting their stories out there. And I'm excited to continue building that and soon offering it to the wider audience, to the public. So what's next? I want to keep putting out the Story Driven podcast. I want to get back to even making skits, which is how we started this channel. Me and my cousin Christian started it by doing funny skits and comedic skits. If you scroll back far enough, you'll find them. I want to just keep pursuing my passions and building my personal brand in a way where I can continue to do what I love. Even if that shifts and evolves, I want to keep showing up and building this connection with you. So as I grow and evolve, you can be along for the journey, and I can share that journey and not feel like I have to hide parts of myself anymore. I want to share it all, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens. I want to talk about business, but I also want to talk about things that light me up that aren't about business. I want to share more about the music that I play, and I want to share more about the mental health journey I've been through, and I know that there's probably people out there who could benefit from hearing that story. And so whatever your story is, I just want you to know that I believe in you, and I believe in your story. And after hearing so many, I found that no one story is better or worse than the other. Every person has a story. Everyone has a story that matters. You matter. Your story matters. And so I just hope that by showing up and continuing to share my story, I can inspire you to show up and share yours. And I'd love to hear your story one day on my podcast. I'll see you again real soon. Our next guest on the podcast is a good friend of mine, William Rout. He's got 5 now at this point and counting businesses. He's scaled to multiple 7 figures in San Diego. And so I just can't wait to introduce him to you. So I hope I'll see you there on the next episode. And I also want to keep showing up here with videos like this. So expect more videos like that. If you liked this, please be sure to like and comment so you can let me know that you'd like to see more content like this. And let's keep going. Your story matters. I hope to hear it one day. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave any feedback. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you hated it, it's okay. Let me know. I'm open to feedback, and I'll see you soon.